Hold up. Yeah.
So today I met with the dean of the business school at Mount St. Mary's University, which is my alma mater. Something I'm moving towards is trying to get some public speaking. I'm trying to get a little bit louder now that I've accomplished some of the things that I've accomplished, and I think it's important for people to know that there's options for business ownership, and that it doesn't always have to be an app. It doesn't always have to be a startup. It doesn't have to be private label online e-commerce. Like, there are other ways to go about this, and so I'm very passionate about that. And I think that there's a lot of people out there doing stuff that they don't love, either because they're too worried about external pressures, people judging what it is that they want to do, or they're just not sure how to go about doing it, or they think it's too much money. And when that's the case, that's where I really want to step in and say, hey, no, that's not the case. I'm in a very high inventory business. I have a lot of expensive stuff, and guess what? I've opened up 4 stores now, with total between the 4 of them I've opened up 5 businesses, 4 quick lubes, under $10,000 total between all of them. So I want to go about speaking, and obviously, if you don't have any kind of brand equity, if you're a quote unquote a nobody, then you have to start. You have to start out by lending your time, because when you don't have money and you don't have brand equity, all you do have is your time. So you got to offer yourself up. You got to do some for free. It's kind of like DJing. Like DJs. Same thing with real estate or any kind of business where you got to put in the time beforehand and you don't reap the reward for quite some time. So I reached out to Dr. Einoff about potentially speaking at the Mount and talking about entrepreneurship. I think that there's a lot of value that I can bring, and so that's the direction I went. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to speak at the school. I'm going to have it videotaped. It'll go on YouTube. And then I will reach out to other programs that have to do with entrepreneurship. And I'll say, hey, can I be on your show? Do you want to interview me? And then you go find events. You say, hey, I'll speak for free. Because some of these places are trying to fill spots. And if they're trying to fill spots, then, if you can, and they're spending all their money on a big ticket person, you can say, hey, I'll speak for free, give them your pitch, and then they'll find a way to get you in, because they need to fill that time, as long as you actually have value to offer. Because everything's a value proposition at all times. You always have to be offering value, whether it's in the form of money or intangible value. But that's the direction I'm going. I'm pretty excited. I think it will happen sometime early in the spring, and hopefully the book will be out by then too, because then we can leverage the book as well. The other thing that happened today was my old oil company called me on my balance, and it's a whole long story, but at the end of the day, I switched my oil distributor. And they were acting kind of like a jealous ex-girlfriend, and they called me on my outstanding balance, which is about 10 grand. Typically with an outstanding balance, you can't be called on anything that's over 30 days if you have a net 30 agreement, which is what I had with them. But they called the entire balance, and not all of it was out of 30 days. And I think this is one of those situations that I'm going to end up probably getting into a payment plan with them. But I just remember vividly from the election campaign that Trump's vendors became a big issue, and it's tough. It's tough because there are certainly times where you shouldn't pay your vendors. Now, for me, this is not one of those times. I'm going to pay these people. I owe them the money. I bought them. They delivered on their end, and I got to pay them. But it just reminded me of that, because there are times where you should not pay your vendor. If they did not hold up their end of the bargain, you do not pay them, and you need to use your leverage that you have to the best of your ability. And sometimes that means withholding payment. So there were, I mean, Trump has many faults, and that was one that I think was unfairly criticized by a lot of people that just don't understand what it's like to have vendors when you're a business owner. So uh, that's that's that on that. I'm very unemotional about vendors. I don't do many contracts with friends or family members for this very reason, because you know I made a very conscious business decision to get them out of my business, and they weren't happy. They took it very emotionally. They got upset, and they shouldn't have. They should have saw it coming, because I gave them many chances to improve the situation before I went out and I shopped around for a new distributor. But it is what it is, and at the end of the day, you need to do whatever you need to do to keep the lights on. Last thing I'm going to talk about is small business cash management, small business inventory management. Inventory management is crucial if you are in a high inventory product, especially in retail business. My inventory is mostly oil. I've got 55-gallon drums right behind me, and then I have bulk tanks. The bulk tanks, they're these big, massive tanks that have hundreds of gallons, sometimes thousands of gallons of oil in them. The only other inventory I have are things like air filters and oil filters, and those are very easy to keep track of. I use the Square point of sale system. They have inventory management. All I got to do is put it in there. Every time a barcode is scanned, it takes the item out. Cash management is a little trickier, and the real point of why I wanted to talk about inventory management and cash management is, now that I have 4 locations, and they're in different areas. The Harrisburg and the Dillsburg store are the only 2 that I can hit up on the same day. Pittsburgh and Chicago are all-day events. And so I'm getting cash from them, and I got to be able to make sure that I'm managing the cash appropriately. Same thing goes for filters. If I need to place a filter order, and one store needs this and the other store needs that, that's part of my job, because I'm not in a position yet to hire a full-time warehouse manager and someone who can do this, but I need to make sure that the stores are getting what they need. I was here in the Dillsburg store today, and a 2005 Volkswagen came, and we didn't have their filter. Now that should not happen. Like, the whole point of a quick lube is that we have everything that has to do with the oil change. Now, if this was Pep Boys or something, when they set the appointment, they ask you for what kind of car you have, and they make sure when your appointment happens, they're gonna have it. But we're not setting appointments. People are just showing up. I couldn't tell you if 20 F-150s are going to come through, or if I'm going to do all Nissan Maximas. So I need to be prepared for that situation. And here today, we were missing the filter for the Volkswagen. I wasn't super pumped about that. I was actually really upset. We have commercial accounts with various auto parts stores, and so we have the ability to get any kind of part that we need. But so I ran up to Advanced Auto Parts and I grabbed it real quick, and it hinders the customer's experience, especially since the point of the quick lube is to get them in and out, and it added time on, and those are not, we did our best to make the experience as positive as possible, but I can't imagine that, at the end of the day, that she was over the top about our experience. I'm sure she was happy. We made her happy, but it was not ideal for us and our mission and the way that we try to approach the customers. That's really it for today. Not too much else going on. I'm finally getting around to filling out the IRS 8822 form. The IRS 8822 form is a relocation form, basically saying headquarters has moved. I have an office space now, so I don't have to use my home. My wife's pumped about that. We don't have to use my house as our business address, and for all my legal entities. The lady who lives in my old house is probably pumped about that, because I'm sure she still gets mail to Columbia, Maryland for the old house. But it was a good day. I haven't looked at the numbers yet. It was a little slow when I was at Dillsburg, and it was a little slow when I went to Harrisburg. But I looked real quickly at the numbers. It looks like we had an okay Friday. Yeah, and that's really it. So if you have any questions about anything, give me an email, costa@capogroup.com. If you want to reach me directly, COSTA, KAPO, across the board, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, you can reach me. I'm not super popular yet, I don't know if I ever will be. So I'm very reachable. I love talking about business, so I will interact with you one-on-one, no problem whatsoever. Just hit me up. If not, I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. All right.
She say that she a wanderlust, but she ain't seen the world so much to do at 21. You feel invincible, so hard to find someone to trust. She's still a daddy's girl, she wanna be an actress and a singer like Selena. And she a movie buff, but she ain't seen Breakfast at Tiffany's or Breakfast Club. That's just before her time, so hard to keep a conversation when your mind's on vacation. You got pretty green eyes, I can see them dollar signs, girl. Oh yeah, I heard that you addicted to them Zans now, girl. Go ahead with your sleepy ass. Go ahead. Shawty, give me a reason. You know that I'm leaving. Give me a reason. You know that I'm leaving. I know how to please you. Let it stay in the freezer. It's all that you need, so baby, Perfect. Say she shake it for the Instagram and a Twitter page. On YouTube she's a makeup artist. Hollywood apartment, she's a bartender and a part-time model. All her friends are verified. Wow, man, that's so cool. Wow, girl, can we hang out? Let's take 1,000 pictures like the hype beast now. People saying that we're goals, that's all